Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimberley here in Abuja. Let's tell you first and foremost about what happened. Maybe you've not seen these two men on the one roof in the same space at the same time, but yet it happened today. And perhaps your guess is as good as mine if you're thinking what I'm thinking. So today, the invitation of President Bola Tinubu, there was a closed-door meeting with Governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara, and leaders of Ogoniland from over 4 local government areas in Rivers State. Although Governor Fubara and the Ogoni delegation arrived earlier at the council chamber of the State House in Abuja, but the FCT minister was saying arriving later, arriving at about a few minutes before 3 p.m. Also present at the meeting was the Chief of Staff to the President, Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila, the National Security Advisor, Moghalu, the Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mele Kyari, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, and other ministers and the President's aides. The meeting came after a coalition of civil society organizations demanded an allocation of $1 trillion from the federal government for the cleanup of the Niger Delta and compensation for the lost livelihoods before the resumption of crude oil production in Ogoniland. The meeting came also amidst all of the protracted political feud between Mr. Fubara and Mr. Wike, who were once political allies, but now it looks like both of them are on different political side of the aisle. And the meeting ended, but we got some information as to the some of the issues raised at that meeting. Take a listen.
The meeting is essentially about bringing peace to Ogoni people and the need for the various groups to work together as a group so that there will be more prosperity in the land of Ogoni. And of course, Mr. President has already given the assignment to the National Security Advisor to coordinate that and also urge all stakeholders in Ogoniland to cooperate with the National Security Advisor with a view to bringing peace to the Ogoniland. And like I said, essentially, it's all about peace in Ogoniland, how the various groups can work together.
It's about a resumption of protection of petroleum in around Ogoniland. But I think I am more concerned with the issue of trying to clean Ogoniland. That's why I was invited to this meeting. One is that this administration has been doing very well because the project has been there for over 5 years. With this administration and the commitment of the president that have gone so far. And I can give you some statistics. Number one is that when we came in, only one water project was commissioned. But as I'm talking to you now, 8 have been commissioned. So 7 have been commissioned under the administration of the president, our president, Bola Tinubu. So that's in one area.
All right, those are some of the information coming out of that meeting. Tonight, our attention is on one hand about some national issues, politics of Anambra State, politics of the APC, a major pioneer member of the APC who left and dumped the APC for the Labour Party. What exactly is, for someone of his stature, leaving the APC, there must be some reasons. But again, I'll take you inside of the 2025 budget. Yet again, there are some very concerning issues within the budget. Opaqueness, issues of questionable figures and the projections in the budget, and a few other issues. We've been analyzing things that the president need himself and his team need to start thinking about and start fixing if we are not going to go by what happened in the past. And we'll see what happened about the 2024 budget and its performance. Those are some of the issues I will be discussing tonight. But first, let's serve you with some of your political roundup stories.
The Senate has vowed to push for the conduct of a national population census before the current administration ends in 2027. These commitments were reiterated during the budget defense session with the chairman of the National Population Commission, Nasir Issa Kwara. The chairman of the Committee of National Identity Management and Population, Senator Abdul Ningi, said, "We will not rest on our oars until a census is conducted before this administration ends." he revealed that the Senate was preparing to meet with President Bola Tinubu to stress the urgency of conducting the census in 2025. The federal government says it has prosecuted and convicted over 100 terrorist financiers in the last 2 years. This was disclosed by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, who represented President Bola Tinubu at the 2025 National Anti-Money Laundering, Counter-Financing of Terrorism and Proliferation Summit organized by the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, NFIU, in Abuja. According to Senator Kume, this achievement was made possible through the efforts of the Office of the National Security Advisor and the Attorney General of the Federation. The Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has commissioned the 11-kilometer Yangoji Sukuku Road in Kwali Area Council of the nation's capital. The road was initially flagged off for construction in January 2024. Mr. Wike also approved the construction of a bridge that links the roads to Kuje Area Council. In Anambra State, Governor Daud Lawal has emphasized that upholding the rule of law requires technical expertise, moral courage, and integrity. The governor called for a complete overhaul of Nigeria's judicial system to ensure the swift dispensation of justice regardless of an individual's social status. The governor made this assertion while declaring the 2024 Annual Law Week Conference of the Nigeria Bar Association open in Gusau, the state capital. The governor of Edo State, Mr. Monday Okpobolo, has tasked new commissioners in the state to prioritize teamwork and remain focused in serving the people of the state. The governor gave the advice shortly after swearing-in ceremony of 6 new commissioners and chairman of boards in the state. Governor Nasir Idris of Kebbi State says the recent wave of support and endorsement from various groups and party supporters is indicative of the dividends of democracy his administration has delivered to the people of the state. The governor stated this during an interactive session with APC national and state delegates from the 21 local government areas in Birnin Kebbi. The newly elected national chairman of the National Rescue Mission, Mr. Dozie Njoku, has been sworn in. Mr. Dozie took the oath of office administered by the legal advisor of the party in the presence of the party officers at the headquarters of the party in Abuja. In his address, Mr. Njoku thanked the former chairman of the party, Isaac Uday, for handing the affairs of the party to him, just as he promised to transform NRM to a greater height.
Thank you so much, everyone. We shall be dissecting the budget for you. We've got some discoveries in that budget that the president and his team need to quickly be working on to correct. A few other issues relating to opaqueness. There are questions as to the intentions, the capturing, the provisions of some projects in that budget, which Nigerians need to know. And in the budget difference, if these issues have not come up, Nigerians need to know. I have Shawoni Bide, who is standing by for us from Davos to give us insight in some of these issues. But before we get to Shawoni Bide, let's get to 1 or 2 issues for you. Well, there was a man, his name is George Moghalu. He's a pioneer national auditor of the All Progressives Congress APC. He has since resigned from the ruling APC. Mr. Moghalu conveyed his decision to quit the party in a letter addressed to the APC chair in his ward in Inewi, Anambra State. The former managing director of the National Inland Waterways Authority did not state why he left the party, but said it was a personal decision. Chief George Moghalu was a founding member of the All Progressives Congress APC and leader of the then All Nigeria People's Party NPP that later became the All People's Party APP, is now seeking the Labour Party governorship ticket in the November 2025 election in Anambra State. Chief George Moghalu is live for us on the program tonight. Thank you so much, and it's good to see you.
Sure, it's my pleasure.
Thank you so much indeed for coming tonight. Interesting. You abandoned the baby that you helped to birth. Why? You said it was personal. But is it possible for you to tell Nigerians the real reasons?
No, really, Shehu, like I did say, in any political contestation, 2 issues are very critical. 1 is the person. 2 is the platform. For the person, it's your personal decision to make. Probably you consult your immediate family or consult people who are very close to you or people you have very close sentiments with. But when it has to do with platform, it requires involvement of quite a lot of people, your friends, your political associates, people who you relate with. And in doing that, you consult them because they are critical stakeholders in the process once it has to do with platform. And this is exactly what we did. Our people looked at it, my team looked at it, and they said, okay, if really we want to contest the 2025 gubernatorial election, this thing was happening in 2024, that we have the only option, they think, available to us is for us to join the Labour Party. And then,
so they don't think that APC is sellable in Anambra?
Yeah, because I don't do it alone. Okay, when you're talking about platform, it requires a lot of people's involvement. So in those considerations was put into place, and then at the end of the day, they recommended that I should.
Yeah, in the recommendation is the thinking that APC is not sellable, and Obian, Governor Soludo cannot be defeated by the APC. Is that the thinking?
For me, it's not about Soludo now. It's about me. It's about my ambition. It's about how I want to drive it.
But again, anybody who is
political associates.
Anybody who is contesting that election is going to be up against Chukwuma Soludo, who is the incumbent, who is going to perhaps have a right of first refusal for the ticket of his party.
Of his party, yes.
Yeah, so in that sense, there are those who will think that if you're going to run against or contest in that election, you are up against Soludo.
Yes.
And it means that that factor is constant. Any other variable that is coming in has to put that into consideration. And perhaps your team are thinking, oh, APC might not be sellable in Anambra State.
A lot of things are taken into consideration when you want to make a political decision of this magnitude. You have to talk about the candidate, who is me in this instant, the aspirant, rather, let me not say candidate, the individual. And that is why I said, in any political contestations, two issues are very critical. The person and the platform. And then when you look at a platform, you look at one, the viability of the platform, the acceptability of the platform, the possibility of using the platform to win the sentiment of the people, because you are not an independent candidate. If we had the opportunity for independent candidacy, it would have been an entirely different ballgame. In this instance, it becomes you and you alone. Can I win election on my merit, on my person, with my personal recognition? But in this instance, since you have to go on a party platform, you have to weigh all the parties, weigh all the options available to you, taking into consideration the feelings of the people who you expect to vote. And then when you put it...
So it wasn't about APC. You did not have any problem with APC, did you?
No, I don't have any problem with APC. I have no problem with it.
You moved after Senator Ifeanyi died, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
That was when you exited APC, isn't it?
Yes, Ifeanyi has joined. Ifeanyi had joined APC.
No, I'm saying you left APC in August.
No,
last year.
October 1.
October 1 last year.
October 1 last year.
Senator Ifeanyi died in July or so. It was the end of July.
I about that. I can't remember exactly.
So it was after his death that you moved. And is your brother from
He's my brother, yeah. He's my brother.
So sad to have lost him.
My sister.
And there are those who believe that one of the things that would have threatened your opportunity, that you perhaps did not stand a chance of getting a ticket if Ifeanyi was in the APC.
No, the truth about it is that you have to look at my political antecedents. I'm a front runner. No pretenses about it. The platform now is immaterial. There's no political platform in this country that George Moghalu will identify with, and I will not be considered a front runner.
Are you that popular in Anambra State?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Against the Soludo?
It's not about the Soludo now.
No, but it's a factor.
It's a factor, yes. It's a factor.
It's a variable that is very
constant. He has a political platform of his own. But when now I am able to get the ticket of the platform I'm seeking, then the Anambrarians will have an opportunity to now weigh all their options.
So you are obedient at the moment?
Whether I'm an obedient?
Are you?
No, I'm a member of Labour Party.
But you are not an obedient?
I'm obedient.
Oh.
I'm obedient.
So you were an obedient, but you were an APC?
No,
you were quiet, silent, obedient?
No.
You became obedient recently?
I was APC full blood until I left on October 1, 2024.
So your blood changed as soon as you switched?
Oh, well, if you say so.
But this was about ambition, not because you wanted to leave APC. If you had the opportunity, you wouldn't leave the party that you helped to birth.
Yes, I helped to. I played a key role in the birthing of APC. There's no doubt about that fact. Because if you take my political trajectory from the Second Republic when we started, in fact, let me go back to 1999. This is the first time George Moghalu is changing political platform. It has never happened before. Everybody sees me as consistent.
Except when your party naturally changed, isn't it?
You're correct. In that instance, I didn't change platform.
On two occasions now,
we evolved.
you became...
No, we evolved.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because all of us now...
You were
APP first.
Yeah.
It was APP, then we changed the name to NPP. And then we migrated into forming APC when other political platforms came together. When we realized that to defeat the PDP as a political platform, that we needed to come together to face the behemoth then.
Let me get your view. You helped to birth the APC, but is this the kind of political party that the founders or the founding fathers of the APC thought that they were birthing?
Yeah, I wouldn't say yes, being honest with you, because when we were forming the party, it was an amalgamation of various political interests, but anchored on progressivism. We wanted to build a platform that can stand the test of time. A platform, not only a political party intended for the purposes of winning an election only, but building a platform that will evolve with time, a platform that can grow to a point where we can influence very positively the democratic principles within our country. That was the intention.
But is the party living that dream?
I wouldn't say so. A lot of things...
It's a no, isn't it?
Yes.
The party is far from living that dream.
A lot of things are not happening right. Because for you to achieve that objective, there's one key principle. And that key principle is internal democracy. And this is one thing that is lacking in most political parties. Don't forget that in 2021, while in APC, we came out to run for governorship elections. About 13 of us indicated interest to run for the governorship of the state. Bought forms, presented ourselves for screening, screened, cleared, election date, primary date fixed, and then all of a sudden, on the date of election, I don't know what must have informed that decision. While we were waiting to cast our votes, while we were waiting to contest the election, in the middle of the night, a candidate was declared as having won an election that never took place. And I went to court. And the case moved from High Court, Appeal Court, and then ended eventually at the Supreme Court in my favor, because I said primaries did not take place. We cannot write the rules ourselves and wake up at the same time to break all the rules we wrote. We said primary elections will take place. We said people who want to contest should buy forms. People bought forms. 13 of us at the end of the day bought forms to contest that election. And we were all screened and cleared for the election. And the election committee was constituted by the party at the highest level. And then what happened? They came and addressed us and told us elections will hold, that we should all return to our various local governments and our wards. And that's exactly what we did. Everybody went back. And they stayed all day waiting for election materials, waiting for those to conduct the election, and nobody showed up. In the middle of the night, in the privacy of a hotel room or office room, I don't know where it was, results were announced for a candidate and declared that the person has won the election. I said, no, it doesn't happen like that.
So this APC is not the APC.
No, there are a lot of things are not going right.
2014.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. And this is not the real party that some of you came together to form.
That is not what we expected.
I mean, you've served at the highest level in the party.
Yeah.
But you consider what Nigerians are going through right now. Would you say the party is a failure delivering the kind of dreams to Nigerians that they sold to Nigerians ab initio?
No, it wouldn't be fair to say that the administration is a failure. It wouldn't be fair.
I'm talking about the party.
No,
because the party preached change in 2015. Yeah. The party said that they were going to renew the hopes of Nigerians. But if you compared when Jonathan was ousted as president, and now the APC has promised that they were going to change Nigeria. But the question will be, has anything changed really in the livelihood of the people? The poverty in the land? That's a major issue at the time. Any president that has run this country since 1999 who was thinking about some very fundamentals, providing electricity in this country. Is that available? Infrastructure, making education work, poverty, getting our children to be effectively and productive. But are those really happening? Is it the kind of Nigeria that we dreamt of, that we thought that would happen? The kind of Nigeria that APC preached to us about?
Shell, the truth about it is that we are not where we are yet supposed to be. There's no doubt about that fact. There's no doubt about the fact also that the challenges are enormous. But the truth about it is that we, as a party, we met a situation that was not favorable. We met a situation that required total re-engineering. And then government started. If you look at where we were before Buhari, let me go now to the Buhari administration came into office, you will find out that where we were was in a difficult situation as a country. So effort was being made, because you see, if there were things I remember very clearly, we talked about rebuilding infrastructure. We talked about diversifying the economy, because we found ourselves in a situation where we were a one product economy. And this product, we are not even in control of it, because everything that has to do with it is being controlled outside the country. And the moment there is a law or a control that is not in our favor, it affects us drastically. So the revenue available to us was very, very limited. If you remember, time was at that time under that administration when oil fell to the point of less than $18 a barrel. And if I remember, prior to that administration, every effort was being made for us to make some savings as a country. Onukonji-Iweala recommended, if you remember, insisted that we should make savings. Governors protested. And we couldn't do that. We had the opportunity of using the excess resources we had at that time to develop our infrastructure. Because there is no way you expect to grow this economy without a massive investment in infrastructural development. And if you look at the impact on the economy with the rail infrastructure that Buhari drastically invested in. And then talking about this present administration, it is not in my place to speak for them. But the truth about it is that the challenges are quite enormous. And it required a lot of courage. I must commend the president for the courage he has shown in some of the decisions he has taken. But the truth about it is that something has to be done. Government must think out of the box. They must re-engineer the economy to the extent that they can impact on the general public. We cannot survive on palliatives.
So it's not going to work.
Something must be done. Something must be done to see how we can re-engineer.
And what is that thing that needs to be done?
Re-engineer the economic process. It is left for government to think out of the box. That is why we asked for the people's support. That is why the opportunity was provided. And when you are given the opportunity, excuses cannot help. And that is the truth. We must face the challenge as it is and be able to address the challenges. Today, yes, efforts are being made. Bold decisions are being taken, just like the tax reform that is being looked into now, that is almost getting through. Yes, these are things we need to do. But then when we look at these things we are trying to do, they stop gaps. Because some of these decisions, difficult as they may be, has a way of impacting on the generality of the public. And so we must look at those stop gaps, those brief periods, those spaces between these 2 points. What do we do to alleviate the suffering of the Nigerian people? We must invest aggressively in our agriculture. We must think inwards. You see, when I sit down, I kept asking a few questions. I ask myself and I ask the people around me. Before the advent of oil, we had a very strong economy, agriculture-based. You talk about the granite pyramid in the north, you talk about palm produce in the southeast, you talk about cocoa in the southwest. Look at the investments that were made by our leaders then using agriculture. What has happened? The coming of oil, at times I wonder whether it's actually the source of our troubles.
A boom or a doom.
A boom or a doom. It's of great concern because we need to think out of the box. We need to go back. Let me tell you, Nigeria is a blessed nation. And anytime we are talking, we keep laying emphasis on the federal government. Let's look towards the subnationals. Every state in this country is blessed. It is about the leadership in the various states looking inwards and saying to what extent they can develop their state and build their economy. You can build your economy. Every state in this country has the potential to be an independent nation. We have all it takes, but it's leadership that is a problem. We must provide leadership at the various subnational levels so that we can address all challenges. It's not only about the federal government. There are things that are expected.
But at the center, do you think we are on the right path? Do you think we have the kind of leadership that can get Nigeria working again?
Yes. Yes, I have no reason to doubt what is happening. I have no reason, I have no justification. But the point is that whatever they are doing, every effort must be made to make sure that it start materializing fast so that it can impact on the people.
So, in essence, you want to be Anambra governor?
Yes.
Why?
Because I want to change the narrative.
Is Soludo not doing a good job?
No.
You don't think he's doing anything?
I don't think so, yeah.
Really?
Yes, I don't think so.
The man says he's brought solution.
Well, yes, it depends on which of the solutions, or which of the problems he wants to solve.
Security, is it not working?
No. Just don't mention that
Really?
to any average Anambra man.
I think it's getting worse.
It's the height of insecurity. By the height of it, we're the peak. It is worse now.
Even with all of the coalition, all of the effort of the governor in trying to get traditional rulers.
What effort?
Getting local.
What effort?
Local leaders in.
What effort?
You don't see anything in all of
what
those?
effort? We really need to ask ourselves honest questions. We must remove politics from security. Being honest with you. I wouldn't talk as a politician now, but I will talk as an Anambrarian who is concerned. There is no day that passes in my state that you don't hear one negative story. It is either somebody has been kidnapped or somebody has been killed or there's a cult war in Oka or around where you have the institution.
Is it not typical to the southeast and some of the unrest that we see linked to the unknown gunmen and some of these agitations?
You may say, I wouldn't want to talk about other states because I don't have facts, because I don't live there. I rarely visit except I'm invited. But the point is that I will talk about my state where I live in, where I visit regularly. All right? And the reports, everything that happens there, I am aware. And I also come from there. I come from a community in Anambra State. So I'm feeling it directly, just like every other person who comes from Anambra State. The truth is that we are in a precarious situation. The challenge is enormous. Our level of insecurity is alarming.
But you don't agree that anything is being done in the area of security in terms of changing the narrative economic-wise. You don't also think that anything is changing. That man is an economic wizard.
It's not about who you are. It's not about being an economic wizard. Yes, you can be an economic wizard. But put it in practical terms.
Nothing has changed.
Yes, put it in practical terms.
But if you look
I'm looking at it strictly from the perspective of what the common man.
If you look at the indices, since Soludo came into power in terms of education, in terms of economic revenue generation, in terms of management of resources, in terms of infrastructure, the projects that is done in some local government area, you don't think that those are steps in the right direction?
The only way I can describe this is that if you come in a place of typical darkness, very thick darkness, you lit one candle, there's light. If you bring this type of light, there's light. If you bring 5 or 8 in the same place, there's light. But you're not talking about the quantum. You're not talking about the effect of the volume of light that you have brought in relation to the immediate environment where you have found yourself. There's a lot to do that is not being done. And let me tell you, the principal responsibility of any government, as provided in our constitution, as provided in our laws, is to be the protection of lives of people and their property. That's the primary responsibility of government. So no matter whatever investment you make in that sector, it can be justified. And again, let me tell you, unless you address the issue of insecurity, every effort you are making about economic investment is phantom. Because no sane investor will come into your client if he cannot be.
And you don't think Soludo has done anything?
No. Since our insecurity, what has happened? So a few weeks ago, a retired Archbishop of Anglican Church was kidnapped and kept in detention for almost 1 month. A few days ago, 2 Reverend sisters, principals of schools, were kidnapped. A few weeks ago, there was a burial ceremony in Ihiala. About 9 people were shot dead. A few weeks ago, a lecturer in Oka was assassinated. A few weeks ago, as we speak now, a member of the House of Assembly is still in the kidnappers' den. as we speak.
And you think you have the solution?
Oh, sure.
The Soludo solution is not working?
No, I don't think it's working.
So it's a Moghalu solution that we should be looking
and
for?
And mine may not be a solution.
What would that be?
Maybe a process.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have the ticket yet. The time has not come.
Yeah, exactly.
But you are optimistic that Labour Party is going to give you the ticket?
By the grace of God. I will do everything. I will do the needful and leave the rest for Anambrarians to decide. The Labour people who are going to decide our fate are all Anambrarians. They live in Anambra State. They also have an opportunity to assess each and every one of us. They also have our antecedents, they have our history, and they'll be able to make up their mind. If they give me the ticket, then to God be the glory.
Interesting. Chief Judge Moghalu is a pioneer auditor or national auditor of the APC. Now an obedient, a Labour Party member, an aspirant for the Anambra governorship ticket of the Labour Party in the November election this year. Thanks so much indeed for coming tonight.
A pleasure as always, Shane.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much indeed. Mr. Seun Onigbinde is live for us from Davos, and we shall be analyzing the budget. President Bola Tinubu presented the 2025 budget, but a lot of issues are there. Seun Onigbinde is standing by for us, and he'll be giving us insight. Up next on the program, analyzing Bola Tinubu's budget. What exactly are these opaqueness that have been identified, and some of the questions over that budget? That's going to be next on our agenda tonight. Join us again, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. Our attention now is on the 2025 budget as presented by President Bola Tinubu. A few issues that have arisen, though. An organization that puts its eyes and its fingers into budget, either in the state or at the national level, is budget. And they've identified a few issues in the budget, gray areas, as being captured in some of the provisions. There are recommendations. There is a memo that has been sent for the federal government to look into that budget to analyze what has happened from 2021, 2022, up until 2024. We are still in the era of executing the 2024 budget, because that may last until about a few months into 2025. But 2025 budget is in the hands of the National Assembly members. MDAs are now defending their sectoral provisions based on what has been captured in the appropriation bill presented to the joint session of the National Assembly. Tonight, let's get to talk about the man who knows so much about the budget, the figures, and all of the politics in it. Seun Onigbinde is the global director and the co-founder of Budget. Is live for us on the sideline of Davos event, the World Economic Forum. Thank you so much, Mr. Onigbinde, for joining us tonight.
For joining you today. Thank you so much, Seun. Thank you.
I appreciate it. As the conference and the meetings going in Davos, what are the hopes? What are you seeing? What are you hearing? Anything favorable to the Nigerian economy?
The Trump second term, the Trump 2.0, as I've heard it here, has dominated the conversations. What that means for multilateralism, global economic order, what that also means for the climate movement as well as global trade. That's dominated the conversations here. We all know that a lot of respect and expectation is thrust upon the United States, and so if the United States is withdrawing from the Paris Club agreement, or is also signifying intention to withdraw from the World Health Organization, it speaks that global multilateralism might be significantly challenged at this point. So that has been the big point. A lot of Nigerian people from Nigerian leadership here. We have the Vice President here, the Ministers of Foreign Affairs spoke to him today. Also have the Minister for Trade and the Minister of State for Petroleum, and I think also other senior dignitaries from government. So it's been an interesting, exciting conversation. The theme is collaboration for an intelligent age, and which means conversation around artificial intelligence has dominated the space heavily, especially by international corporate organizations and governments, especially also on regulation. So it's been an exciting event so far. Still 2 more days to go, and we'll see how that goes.
Thank you so much indeed. We will know that Vice President Kashim Shettima is leading the Nigerian delegates there and representing Nigeria. We're hoping to hear some of what will become what are the outcomes of the meetings there. It's interesting, I know the speech of Donald Trump yesterday will cause a lot of shivers across the economic climate in the world. But let's focus on the Nigerian economy and the budget that has been presented. The budget presented by the president. A lot of Nigerians now know what exactly we should be expecting. But in volume, we do know that compared to last year, in dollar terms, it's much lower in terms of volume. But this is what we have. The Nigerian naira, the value of the naira is responsible largely for what the value of the Nigerian budget. But if you look at it in summary, how do you describe that budget? Does it represent the title that was that was given to it?
That budget was titled a budget of consolidation in some sort of way, and this might be the most important budget of this administration. Let's agree that by next year the elections will be upon us, and that means that a lot of budget items at that period might be highly political. We've seen a very, very large 49.7 trillion naira has been presented by the executive. Around 34 trillion naira of that is presented as revenue. A lot of challenges is still in that budget. We've written in the National Assembly, especially the leadership. And when you start from the revenue. In our view, we know that devaluation has happened, but we still believe that there is still a loss of budget credibility. The revenue positions are highly overstated, especially revenues that are promised from the oil and gas sector. We feel that the federal government might not be able to meet that, considering that the whole of those resources have been pledged. But we would see the trend early in the year by the time we start seeing what the impact of subsidy removal of federal government revenues. But the challenge is that the revenues might not be met. The other point also is look at the expenditure itself. We're putting so much things in the budget. For example, we've created the development commissions. We have like 5 development commissions now: the Southeast, the Southwest, the Northwest, the Northeast, and also the NDDCs, which you would count as the South-South. We pack all of them together, they are getting over 2.6 trillion naira. Some sort of way, there's a bit kind of worry around that. What exactly would they do differently? This is a significant amount of money to commit institutions who are still in their infancy, who are yet even to set stage. The other also issues are these items were captured at the personnel cost. We think that's an error and that has to be corrected. Another thing you also see is that there's a huge spending on statutory transfers as much as possible. If you look at the National Assembly budget, it's around 3.44 billion. We find that, like you find it, the NJC, also 341 billion. So a lot of funding has been jacked up, for statutory transfers. But beyond that, you also find that we made a point, and I think the Minister of Work responded to that critical project like Lagos Calabar Super Highway, if you allow me to call it that, was not added to the budget. The minister said that was an error that would be changed at the committee stage. But there's a bigger problem. What we have said to the National Assembly in our memo is that the National Assembly has appropriation powers as defined by the Constitution, but they must use those powers responsibly. We've seen in 2024 budget, 2023 budget, an increasing mode of appropriating amount indiscriminately in different elements of the budget. We've seen green light and solar street light in the National Space Agency. We've seen care for mothers, antenatal care inside an agency under the Ministry of Agric. There's been this constituency project or insertions or additions by the National Assembly that do not tie to any developmental objective, or is not even put in the respective agencies that are execute them. Our plea to the National Assembly is that let the appropriation committee have significant oversight about where exactly these items are added. At least for the first time, let us put constituency projects in the right agencies of them. Let them also be capped. because you have the power of the purse does not mean you abuse it. They say with great power comes with great responsibility. So let the National Assembly set a cap that is decent and is reasonable. And National Assembly members can now say, this is what I propose in my constituency. The danger of that is that you're getting what you call the provincialism approach in the budget. Nobody's thinking of the collective. Everybody's thinking of me. And if you remember recently, there was an issue with the University College Hospital, which is the oldest tertiary hospital in this country, of how there is no power, how it is highly dysfunctional. Even I have a personal experience, because my mom lives in Ibadan. She used to use that hospital and she stopped using that hospital. And I'm asking, why is the Ministry of Health or why is the chairman of the Committee of Health not paying attention? Because a lot of people in those committees are also paying more attention to the clinics, primary healthcare centers, things that are highly unnecessary in their own environment. They forget about the collective. Everybody now much more cares about what is in for me or possibly what's in for my people. So we are appealing to the National Assembly that focus on the things that matter to the collective in this 2025 budget.
From the memo you sent and some of the issues you raised, I was able to identify and highlight the gray areas as you pointed them out in that memo. And you were warning the National Assembly and the presidency that they need to take caution because of what we have seen in the past. If this budget needs to amount to anything, they needs to have a certain line of reasonability. Now, some of the gray areas as highlighted in that memo, first and foremost, you do not think at budget that the inflation projection of 15% appears, you say that it appears grossly unrealistic.
It's a very factual point. I mean, we're eating around 34% now. I mean, now we're going to go down from 34% to 15% this single year. I do not know how that magic is going to happen. Maybe the federal government is putting its premise on the fact that it will achieve exchange rate stability. Till now, we still see that there's still a gap between the parallel market and maybe whatever we call the official market. And we also understand that food inflation is a critical element of this. We don't know. I mean, there is a planned rejigging or rebalancing or adjustment of the inflation basket by the MBS. Maybe that's going to make a difference in the long run. Also, there is also a rebasing of the GDP. Maybe the federal government engine is projection. But as factors remain today, there is no realistic position that inflation can be at 15%. We don't see that.
You also talked about one of the things that a lot of people also looked at is a projection on oil production. I don't know whether in that line, do you think that the projection for oil production is also realistic considering our present oil production? Now we're saying that the president has asked the NSA to get on the Ogoni, the possibility of a return of oil production in Ogoni land, and some of these issues related to security and oil theft. Do you see us being able to achieve that projection on oil production, which is the fundamentals or which is the mainstay of the economy?
I mean, it's the production on the oil. We have issues with that in some sort of way, and I think the federal government they need, especially on production, they need to be a bit realistic. If you look at, for example, we are producing around 1.5 to 1.6 million barrels currently, based on recent reports from the NUPRC. We are thinking 2.1 million. I don't know, because we want to bring maybe an extra 400 to 500,000 barrels per day. That is like a very long shot. We know that, and maybe that's why the president is making these overtures to the Ogoni people. The problem is that there are also a lot of assets that are stranded. And also, let's not forget that NNPC has been creating projects in recent years, Project Eagle, Project Gazelle, and different vehicles that are used to pledge current oil production for some certain level of credit. So is the federal government also taking account into this? What about the condensates? Is the federal government taking account into this of this? So it's we look at the oil production and we say based on the previous trend where we have had, we have even sank low as 900,000 barrels for some months. This seems on the high side, but we are keen watchers. Like I said, the whole of revenue projection of this 2025 budget is premised on optimal oil price, optimal oil production. So the federal government is not meeting that mark as it should be. There will be crisis in the budget revenue side.
One area that is of concern is the opaqueness on some budget items. The primary one that we identify from your memo says the information regarding the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road, you said, is opaque. You hinted about this earlier. What kind of information should we naturally get on this kind of item and the provision? What kind of information naturally should have been provided? They said it's an error, but isn't that too big to be an error on a major project that will gulp as much money?
You wouldn't understand, because even if you look at the item they mentioned, that was the Lagos Port Harcourt Coastal, it was 100 million naira. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, what kind of allocation is that? It also means that, and that's the fundamental problem of the budget. Our budget is not linked to any policy action. It's not linked to any form of planning. In a decent environment, you have to go to a Ministry of Work should have sat down and say, what are our top 20 infrastructure projects for this administration? I mean, and make sure that there is a spread across the geopolitical zone. Maybe the Abuja-Kaduna Road, Lagos, I mean, that was highly unnecessary, but now it's been started. The Lagos superhighway to Calabar, they're doing the phase one. What are the most important part of that? And focus on those things. What you get to see in the budget is a fragmentation of the budget. We have close to 8,000 capital projects in the budget, and 10 million, 20 million, 100 million, 200 million, 80 million, 50 million. How does Nigeria get results? How does Nigeria get answers with this fragmentation of the budget process? The same problem you have in that the budget is not premised on planning. If you look at the Ministry of Agriculture's budget today, or the Ministry of even Education budget, if you are going to ask, what are the first 5 priorities of this agency, of this ministry, you can't find it, because it's all over the place. And until our budget is tied to form of development agenda, and there's a whole lot of thinking, a whole lot of scholarship and review of it from a cognitive, at the cognitive level. That's only when we can say our budget is going to produce results. What I still see is people indiscriminately putting items in the budget that is not linked to any development planning, and it's really an eyesore at that level.
I mean, you also highlighted that the question mark on the 100 million allocation to the Lagos-Port Harcourt Coastal Highway project, and there is a Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway project already. You said there are question mark on the provision of bulletproof SUV, fully paid foreign medical treatment, $20,000 as extra code for medical trips and payments for domestic help. These are to members of the retired military personnel. And you also mentioned issues of budget performance. You are worried that if you're not careful and strategic and systematic approach is not taken in handling this budget, we might suffer a very poor budget performance. These are some of the issues and gray areas that are identified in the memo you sent.
A very great point, and we mentioned this because when you say the budget has performed, the question I'm going to ask is, the budget performed for who? I mean, performance, you could pay salaries, and that's just it. You could deliver capital projects that do not improve the economic situation of the country, that do not transform the economic development of the country, and you say that is budget performance. That is not the performance we want. When the budget is a living object, it's supposed to transform into meaning in the lives of Nigerians. So we are also big about performance of what? What we have seen is that if the federal government is not streamlining its capital project to focus on what matters, then we might be able to struggle in what the meaning of performance would look like. We've looked into that budget. There's so many frivolous items. In the 2023, let's not forget there was a 2023 supplementary budget. A chunk of that budget was for provision of cars, provision of buildings for special assistance, provisions of a building, Jordan barracks, a whole lot of frivolous items. We did the same acquisition, the same allocation for cars in 2024 budget. My question is, we are still executing the 2023 budget. We are still executing the 2024 budget, which means that you can procure those cars within those buckets. So why are you still putting allocation for procurement of this thing in the 2025 budget again? And we're in a time where it requires a lot of solidarity, on the side of government with Nigerians, because the people of Nigerians are going through a very difficult time at this period. I mean, inflation is biting hard, unemployment is not helping, food is a challenge for a lot of people, transport costs have gone up, now we have had tariff increases all over again. The cost of living is so high, and if the cost of living is high on the side of Nigerians, the government should also show solidarity by adjusting their lifestyle. What I've seen in this budget does not seem as if the government is saying we want to make some tweaks and we want to bear this burden a little bit. It's more like we have the opportunity to create an expansive budget. We will do so regardless, and we'll figure out ways to fund it. And we know that once the federal government is able to bring revenue to the table from oil or from taxes, CBN or going to even to the bond market becomes the default answers, and that is not going to take us anywhere.
You were very categorical about the insertions based on the lawmakers' input and what has happened in the past. We saw that in the 2024 budget, where there will be insertion of borehole into some very irrelevant ministries or agencies or MDAs. And some of these MDAs will say they don't even know anything about those projects. They didn't originate those projects. But it will come that some members of the National Assembly are the ones who are pushing some of these projects. The question about consistency project, the fact that there is actually is it 100 million now that is allocated? I don't know what figure of allocation of consistency project. But then if we have those provisions, why the senseless and the reckless insertion in the name of consistency project in that number, in the quantum we saw in the 2024 budget? Because it was mind-boggling, isn't it?
It's mind-boggling. I think it's something that germinated in the previous National Assembly. And you figure out, sometimes you're going to ask yourself, is this person is chairman of appropriation, a speaker of the house, a head of a committee, or a local government chairman? Because you begin to see someone taking a whole lot of money from the federal purse to advance his own political objectives. So even if I'm a governor of that state, or I'm a local government chairman of that area, I will practically not do anything just because I know that the senator or the House of Rep member in my constituency is going to get all the money from Abuja. Or sometimes, even if I'm a neighboring federal constituency and I do not have those privileges because I'm not a senior member of the parliament and I do not have certain privileges, I begin to look like as if I'm highly ineffectual or I'm highly incompetent just because I can't find items to insert into the budget. There is a problem that there must be responsibility with all of this, because we are coming to a point where the purpose of the federal government as an anchor for economic growth is being defeated. Everybody is trying to carry their provincial mindset, their tribal mindset into the federal budget system. And at the end of the day, the resources of the federal government are finite. They can be exhausted. So you are putting the priority of your own small political ambition and political mileage ahead of what should be about the collective. I made an example of UCH. I mean, how we are currently neglecting national and critical institutions because maybe nobody is there to speak for them. So for me, I think clearly the federal government or the National Assembly and the executive need to have this conversation. The National Assembly has powers to adjust the budget to appropriate items, but that must come with a high level of responsibility. The National Assembly has 100 billion naira annually as constituency projects, and that was what they stuck with for years. In the last 6 years, we've seen a continuous degradation of that. They are now talking items indiscriminately into ministries and department and agencies, but so I'm a ministry doing oceanography, Ministry of Oceanography. In fact, we have now seen agencies that are now very notorious, Federal Cooperative College or GRIVA, School of Oceanography in Victoria, that they are now become the reservoir for constituency projects, for things that have nothing to do with their manufacture. You now have even some of these agencies writing the National Assembly, asking that they want the constituency project. National Assembly should put constituency projects in their own budget. And I've seen a copy of that letter, directly. So we are in a situation where there has to be some form of fiscal responsibility. And without that, the federal government cannot do more. Without that, whatever the CBN is doing in terms of monetary stability, tightening monetary rationalization and all of it, it's never going to work if there is no tightening from the fiscal side.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shewonigbene. I hope that those who need to take action and do the right thing will do it. There needs to be transparency, there needs to be accountability, there needs to be senseless action and objectives towards pushing some of these line items. They don't look like they're taking Nigerians for a ride. But thank you so much anyways, Shewonigbene, the Global Director and the co-founder of Budget, is live for us on the sideline of the World Economic Forum happening in Davos. Thank you so much, and keep warm, Sheon. Thank you so much indeed.
Yeah, bye.
Just before we go, I don't know, and this should be a very, very simple one on today's quiz on the program. The question is, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, was established under which administration? Is it A, Olusegun Obasanjo administration, B, the Goodluck Jonathan, Umaru Musa Yar'Adua administration, or the Muhammadu Buhari administration? This should be an easy one for us. What is the answer? Okay, let me show you. The answer, of course, is during the Olusegun Obasanjo administration. That was when the EFCC was established to fight corruption. So that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm sure Kimale, I'll see you next time. God bless Nigeria.